insert drink, and hit play. Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BlueRayDismay. You have John Daniels here, and I have my two counterparts with me.
The Right Honorable Javier Ian Marcellus Ignatius II, Esquire.
Jimmy.
And Bruno Diaz, a.k.a. Johnny C., a.k.a. Johnny Walkers.
Johnny C., Johnny Walkers. Hey guys, thanks for joining. In anticipation of the May 2020 film with Black Widow, we are doing Captain America, the Winter Soldier. We are getting started on the MCU, and we figured what a better way to get started than this flick. And we're about to tell you why.
Solidly in the middle of phase 2. We've been trying to get John Daniels to watch these for about a decade now.
I'm catching up.
He's been watching them slowly.
I'm catching up. And I just got to tell you guys, right before Winter Soldier, I watched the prior movie within the timeline, which is Thor Dark World, and I wanted to shoot myself in the foot.
Yeah. Okay, so I have to say.
Say away.
So going from Thor is my least favorite and probably all of them. Maybe Ant-Man or something like that is probably worse. But... well, actually, Thor wasn't that bad. I probably like Ant-Man a little worse. But it's one of my least favorites of the franchise, of the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. Going from Thor to this, which came out in the same year, as I was reminded by Javier earlier, is like, this is the polar opposite of like Thor. It was like boring and like barely cool, barely interesting. This movie...
oh, hold on.
just starts off like immediate, like has the whole first 20 minutes of this movie is way better than the whole last movie of Thor.
Where's my record scratch?
Are you talking about Thor Dark World?
Go ahead.
Thor Dark
Thor
World,
Dark
right?
World was November 2013. Captain America was April 2014. So there were 6 months between them.
But Thor was first.
Right.
Yeah.
Thor Dark
Yeah.
World was first, yes.
But they
And
weren't
there's
the
no
same
Marvel
year.
movie in between them.
No.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. So going from this to that is like the polar opposites of, I think, from the Marvel franchise, of what you can get from Ant-Man to Endgame or something like that, is literally Thor, Dark World, and this movie, Winter Soldier, which I do love Civil War, but this one is definitely, I think, I've been saying it for a long time, this one my favorite one out of the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh, it's definitely in the top 5 for sure for me. Partly because it's such a well-directed and just made movie. They wanted to do like a throwback to a political thriller. They even get Robert Redford in there.
Yeah.
They got everyone in. Oh yeah, in case.
Yeah, Butch Cassidy, man, Butch Cassidy.
And
The Swindle.
Spoilers for everything Marvel.
I mean,
Oh, that's right. We are doing a fifth of. We're doing a fifth of, and we are just gonna go to spoilers.
Oh yeah, full.
I guess
spoilers.
we should just go to spoilers up until this movie, not going beyond this movie, right? Is that a fair?
Well, I mean, there's maybe like 3 people who haven't seen the rest of them, and I'm including you.
Okay, two.
Okay, whoever hasn't seen, for your sake, well, yeah, we won't do spoilers.
Everyone dies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, yeah. All right.
He hasn't gone past this.
That's true. So one of the 3 people who hasn't seen the rest of the movies is our co-host over here. So we're gonna.
Dude, we don't have cable in Cali, Colombia.
I might slip, but
Not even
just
satellite?
don't notice.
That's for the affluent Cali.
Uncle Escobar
Colombians.
wouldn't spring for a dish for you guys.
The affluent.
He doesn't take care of his peeps?
Affluent.
Okay, just call him peoples. Doesn't take care of his people.
Even Canada gets here later.
While we're on the timeline, everyone, just to remind
joking.
everybody with the MCU timeline, I'm sure everyone knows, but just to remind everyone, we started off with not we, but the MCU timeline starts off at Phase 1, Iron Man, Hulk with Ed Norton, the 08 version, not the 03 version, Iron Man 2, and then Thor, which was cool. To cap off the first phase was Captain America. I'm sorry. No. We're still in the first one, which Captain America, First Avenger, and then Avengers capped it off.
Right.
Phase 2, we had Iron Man 3 with Guy Pearce, followed by Thor: The Dark World, which I wanted to vomit on, and Captain America: Winter Soldier. The next 2 in Phase 2 would be Guardians of the Galaxy, and to cap that off would be Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
And again, I'm sure everyone knows, but just to kind of,
it hits a different stride after Winter Soldier. And that's why I think this is my favorite and one of the best ones out of it, is it's right in the middle of where they're like figuring this stuff out. And this movie is allowed to be self-contained. It wasn't too wrapped up in whatever else was going on with the crystal and like the stones and all other thing. And, like, it wasn't tied in. It loosely is, like, it's in there, but like the characters are, and they'll play a big part in what happens later. But
right.
And yeah, it's like it's just a good middle part, and it's a good standalone movie, and I think that's why it's better than a lot of the other ones, because it doesn't rely on the whole big arc 20 movie thing. It's just this movie.
John Daniels here. Yes, I have to agree. It's a good standalone movie in and of itself, and it plays perfectly well into, I think, the timeline, the sequence of events. It's just a great flick overall. It's sequentially accurate. It is, as you mentioned, standalone-ish,
like by
accurate
itself
and very
in the whole thing,
and well
like
done.
both,
If you had, for someone that didn't see any of the ones prior to this, they could probably guesstimate, okay, they have a bunch of flashbacks of what he was before he became Captain America, right? When he was a puny little scrawny little person.
It's just a tight ass action.
Right. It's a good flick, man. It's a good flick. They have good fighting scenes. I have to pay tribute and, of course, credit GSP, George St. Pierre, who was one of the former champions in the UFC, probably notably one of the best pound for pound fighters in his time. And he actually had a good fighting scene against Captain America in the beginning of the movie. So GSP, shout out. Everyone knows him. He's amazing and world renowned. So this is a good flick. Good action flick. Good fighting flick. It's just good overall flick.
Yeah.
Even if you're not a diehard Marvel fan, this is a good flick.
He takes on Captain America like in hand-to-hand combat, and like Captain America takes him on. He's like, "I thought you were more than a shield," or something like that.
And then he drops a shield.
And he's like, "I'll put it back." And he's like, "All right, let's just go fist to fist," and it's fucking awesome. And he does a backflip.
It is the shit. It is the shit.
It's fucking cool.
It's good. It's good, man.
And another big part of why I think this movie is great is the Russo. I think the Russo brothers.
Yeah.
They approached this movie like with like minimal CGI. So like they wanted to go practical effects,
right?
Like hand to hand combat, like just good, action, like choreography and like classic, like old school like fight like spy movies and things like that. Like there's just like ground combat, like not a lot of like crazy other things going on. He does take on a helicarrier, but it's still cool. He has his shield. Like when he fights this dude in the elevator, like that's a fucking sweet scene. Like nobody else, like,
you
can't say that's not awesome.
Yeah, I feel like I play video games like that where you just gotta fight a bunch of guys in an elevator.
Yeah.
And kick their ass, and he does it all, and they manage to sell it too, because you're like, why don't they just like rush him? And then it's like, oh yeah, they're trying to rush him. They pin his arm back, but
they need 20 dudes
even
in an elevator
with
to
rushing
take
him,
on Captain America.
Even,
They can't even,
Yeah.
And that's why they need like and Nick Fury too, the fucking sweet ass car chase, which was a lot. I haven't seen this movie in a long time, dude. This that sequence with Samuel L. Jackson.
Where the cops are chasing him and he's in the SUV, he's in the armored SUV.
The fake shield is like going after him. Like I thought it was like 2 minutes, but it's like 5 or 10 minutes or something in the whole movie or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It felt like it.
And it's really intense. I really love how they create that sensation of them closing in on him. As they first pile up on him with cars, then they surround him, then they start shooting him, then they start the battering ram.
Yeah, and then he actually gets away and starts driving. Like it keeps going. Like after you think it's about to be over.
It really captured that like sense of escalation and entrapment there.
Yeah,
that was really neat. But I want to say the other reason we're talking about this prior to the Black Widow movie is they just go into Natasha's backstory a bit. When they talk about it, they talk about what she was before. I mean, they kind of mentioned it in other Avengers movies.
What's that? JVR?
But Natasha's backstory. They talk about who she worked for.
Natasha is the sidekick girl, right?
Black Widow. Yeah.
Oh no! I'm sorry. That's Black Widow. Yeah, sorry. There was another sidekick gal. Okay.
Yeah. No, but they go into a little bit about here, and then like she kind of releases her own secrets along with Shield's Hydra / secrets, because it's like all the marbles are on the table here, and this is what they're trying to do.
Yeah. Okay. So by the way, just to credit a few folks, obviously I believe everybody knows Chris Evans, who plays Captain America. Of course, we have Samuel L. Jackson as the leader of Shield. Yeah, not in a tea movie. And of course, Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, who is amazing, among a few others. So, of course, and I know JVR. You mentioned Robert Redford. Butch Cassidy is in this flick as one of the CEO / Hydra leaders in their opposite or their basically yang to yin organization.
Right.
So very cool.
So
a lot of cool people.
A little bit of trivia on Robert Redford there.
I think
apparently the reason he was in this movie is because his grandkids like the Marvel comics. So he wanted to be in a movie with them.
Yeah. And the Marvel movies.
Yeah, his grandkids.
Dude, do his grandkids like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid?
No, his kids like the Marvel movies.
His kids like Iron Man, you know?
Yeah, so they're like, get in the movie, Dad.
Tell him to get with the program.
Yeah.
Dude, watch Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Was that 1969? Classic. For
He's gonna
anyone who
turn
hasn't
down all
seen
that
it.
money. Yeah.
Also, The Sting, if you haven't seen that, highly recommended.
Who was in The Color of Money with Tom Cruise? Was that Robert Redford? I can't remember. I have
Color
to
of
double check
Money?
on that.
Wasn't that Paul Newman?
I think no, Paul Newman. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right with Tom Cruise. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's quite different. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Anywho, my bad, guys. So we're watching some of the flicks here, some of the scenes on YouTube, and they're going
Oh
through
yeah,
this.
it's sweet.
They have a minigun.
Battering ram that drills into the concrete.
No, into it
Into
like
the
drills
floor,
itself into
yeah.
the concrete and
And
then
then
batter
it's trying
rams.
to. It's not even battering the door. It's just battering the window, and it's
Yeah,
knocking
and
the
it
truck
still
over.
can't get in.
And
It
it won't
still
even.
can't
Yeah,
get in,
it's
right?
just the window is not even fucking breaking, and
Yep.
that's awesome.
Yep.
Like I love. The little
The
details
one-
and all this shit is
The
just fucking
one
awesome.
thing that I kind of was like, okay, Samuel L. Jackson pulls out the MIB pen, which is tiny, and then he just drills through 10 feet of concrete in the floor. It's kind of funny.
Yeah,
I mean, if it has
that's
the
a movie.
Tesseract
That's
energy,
a classic movie trope.
I guess.
Yeah,
But
but-
like, oh, he's off screen. He can do whatever he wants for 2
he
seconds.
drills through the cement.
Yeah,
Presuming that was made by Tony Stark, you know.
Whatever
I
he needs to
guess.
get away, you know. Whatever your magic
That's
can
the
think of.
one thing I noticed. I was like, okay, all right.
Yeah, I
He's
agree.
got to get away, you know.
I agree.
But yeah, one of the things I like about this is it does take a little bit of a darker tone. I mean, the Avengers, if you watch the Avengers, you know it's kind of lighthearted. They had like Joss Whedon's joke.
Yeah, and it's a long movie too. Like,
yeah.
they don't let up on the action and
Right.
the
It's
and the
nonstop.
violence
It
and
is
the- and the-
nonstop Marvel action.
Yeah,
I mean, this is probably up if you reference the timeline that I've mentioned up until now. This is probably the heaviest action flick out of all the films up until this point. Yeah, there's crazy
They're
big
just
fighting
having
scenes
fun.
and all this
Yeah.
stuff, but this is continuous. I mean,
Right.
continuous like hand-to-hand combat.
but
you got Black Widow in there. You got the Falcon dude, right?
And shout out to the Rooster Brothers who did the Community episodes with the paintball episode where they did like a spoof on Die Hard and everything. The show Community.
Yeah.
That they did that episode. There's like a couple episodes in there.
Yeah.
And like that's why part of the reason why they
got
chose
this
them
job.
when they got the job is because they did a good enough spoof of action movie to make
Yeah.
a good enough action movie.
You can make a sitcom sound like a serious action movie.
Yeah,
Oh, right.
yeah, exactly. Imagine what you could do if you had enough money to make an action movie. Yeah.
But that's part of what I like the best because between all the nonstop action, it's like it takes a slightly different tone from the rest of the Marvel movies because they're either busy fighting each other, but when they're not fighting, they're like, what am I fighting for? Why am I fighting? And who can I trust? Which you don't really get a lot.
Yeah, actually goes into it. Yeah.
in like the other movies.
Random note here on the Tube of You. I just found the entire movie in 40 different 3-minute segments. If you look up Steve Rogers and Sam Wilson running scene, it will show the whole movie.
Just don't be a cheap ass. Just you can probably watch it on Disney Plus at this point.
Well, we're watching it, so I had to let everybody know. But yeah,
This movie is great enough. I would say just go buy this
Or buy the
anywhere.
disc or borrow
You
it
buy the
or-
DVD, buy the Blu-ray, buy the
DVD
4K.
blasphemy.
Any way you can watch this movie, please go out and buy it and
Stream
watch
it.
it.
Watch it. Just watch the whole thing.
Don't watch it on YouTube on second.
No, you know why I don't want to watch. You know why I don't encourage anyone watching anything on YouTube because of fucking advertisements.
That is
Pardon my
true.
language.
They probably have
There will
God
be
knows
it'll be
how
Worse
many
than TBS.
There will be an ad before the clip starts. There will be an ad at the clip as the clip ends.
Okay,
If
gentlemen.
the clip is long enough, there will be another ad in the middle of the clip. So I can't deal with that. I can't even. It's like,
Enough ripping on the platform that we advertise on. Please.
Yeah.
Next point.
Next point.
Next point.
Anyway.
Okay. I don't know.
So yeah, the costume, why it's different and darker than the other ones.
Oh right, he did change up his costume.
Yeah, he
became
original
the
one.
Venom
I guess
version of the
originals
original.
the
Right.
original ones in the
Smithsonian.
Smithsonian. The Smithsonian. Shout out to DC. I love all their museums. Yeah, his the costume is
Dude,
the
the
darker tone.
museum got shut down.
The darker tone costume is based off of the
Venom from Spider-Man. Hello.
when he was the director of Shield in the comics. I
What's
think
that?
it was the Ultimate Comics.
Yeah, Marvel Ultimates.
Yeah, when he was the director of Shield, that was like his costume. And that's what this movie is basing it off of.
One more thing I have to nitpick, guys. It's the toward in one of the final battle scenes where we got Falcon Dude. What's his name? Is his name
Falcon. Yeah.
Falcon Dude. Falcon Dude is outrunning all of like the 3 Death Stars, or at least that one main one.
He's
don't
outflying
know.
them.
I guess. I don't know.
Well, I like
a little funky, but it's still a lot of good action scenes. I mean, it's a good scene.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Death Stars because like they actually have a line in Star Wars, the OG, about how like their defenses are not set up to deal with small one-man fighters like that because they're aimed at ship-to-ship combat.
Who?
Is that
Star
so?
Wars.
Is that which flick is that? Do you know which movie
The
that's?
77 Star Wars.
Which
Oh, the
Star
old
Wars
school
is it?
ones,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why the X-wing fighters are such a threat because they can go in there and slide between defenses that are designed for much bigger ships. The same thing with
Isn't
Were-
that what
were they
happened?
designed that way?
Isn't that what happened in the most recent one, the Rise of Skywalker, or the whatever the hell it is, the last
I don't
film?
know.
You would
what
have to
happened in that
assume they
movie.
were designed to fight their enemy. Yeah.
But see, he's going in there. He presents a smaller target, a smaller radar signature to what they're expecting. You know, so that's why he's able to get ahead of it. I mean, that's the justification I go with in my mind. You know, it's all about like how much of a profile you present to be targeted. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I thought it was a little funny that this
Yeah.
one little dork who was Archangel happened to fly around Death Stars. I'm like, oh,
But he was,
alright.
but
No,
they
he
did
just
establish-
happened to have he was running because he's doing laps enough somehow maybe a little time, maybe 2% enough of laps
I
with
don't
Captain
know.
America. So Captain America,
Yeah, but
like,
Captain America kept
who's this
lapping
guy?
him.
I know, but who's the guy that's doing the laps with me? So he's like that's
Some
the only,
nobody, some
that's
loser.
the guy. This is the guy that used to do the fucking Falcon
Yeah.
drops or whatever.
Who's this guy that's not giving up even though I'm literally running rings?
Yeah,
around him?
exactly. Yeah. That's
Uh,
the point, I think.
Yeah.
The point is he sucks.
No,
and
That he's
he
keeping
did-
up with Captain America even though he's lapping him. He's going even still. Like
He's not
like,
keeping up with Captain America.
Yeah, he is. He was running laps.
Dude,
with
he was
him.
like, "This is my third lap around. Your slow bitch ass."
and
and
no
he
one
was
else
like-
is there. Who else is there?
Right. Yeah, there's no one else running with him, which I find a bit odd. Usually DC's full of joggers like that.
Never.
But not Super Marine that used to do crazy Falcon drops.
Yeah. But that's the point they established. Like his flight history was like he did a lot of like serious missions with that suit, so he's experienced with it. It's not like he's just anybody dropping in on it.
True.
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
true. Right. That he was
That was
like
his
he was the
old profession.
operator.
Yeah.
That was like he was like
That
an
was his
operator
job,
or whatever. Yeah.
He's old Marine
I
type dude.
yeah, I'll give you that one. That's
He's
true.
ready to do this type of job.
True,
like,
true.
There's
Yeah.
he's not just he's not a jogger
Yeah.
Yeah.
that
true.
you find off the street. He's
True.
a fucking Marine that does special ops that used, and like he said, he's like, you even kept this from me. Like when he finds out what he did later, he's like, oh, I didn't know.
Yeah,
you
and
were,
just
I didn't know
guys,
you did this type of stuff with Shield. And he's like, you didn't ask or something like that.
just to give a point of reference, guys, in reviewing the fighting scenes here and the action scenes, when compared to the movie that came right before it in the MCU, which was Thor Shit World, I mean it's
Dark
black.
World.
It's black and white. I mean it is
Thor,
day and
darkest
night. Yeah.
Marvel world.
Thor,
darkest universe,
Thor,
dark
kill
Marvel
yourself world. Yeah. I
Thor-
mean the scenes
Thor,
you
bad
couldn't
choreography.
It's not
even.
that bad.
And by the way,
I was watching it with you, kind of like it's
no,
not.
it's
not
actually really bad.
super terrible.
No, it's
not-
actually really terrible.
It's pretty cheesy, but
It's really cheesy, and they look like they're in Power Rangers costumes. And the fighting scenes. I mean,
it's
I
continuity wise.
I fight with my friends harder than those
Natalie Portman's
stupid
great.
ass fighting scenes.
Yeah,
It was just
I
so
kinda-
bad.
I will say
bad.
The continuity
This
was
choreography based compared to this movie.
You can't
oh my
compare
God.
it. You can't compare
even
it.
compare
Yeah, you
it.
can't. You cannot. It's don't even. You can't even mention it in the same.
Yeah.
They shouldn't even be part of the same MCU.
Pretty much.
honestly.
Yeah.
It's just that bad.
That's what I was saying earlier. Like that's one.
And
end
by the
of
way, that was
spectrum,
directed by Alan
and
Taylor.
this
I
is
believe.
the other end of the spectrum.
Thor: Dark World or Shit World,
right.
or Kill Yourself World was directed by Alan Taylor, who I hope just kills himself. And-
No.
no.
Yes.
don't wish
It wasn't
Yes,
that
yes,
bad,
yes.
dude.
Let's
It
hope
wasn't
he
that
becomes
bad.
It was very bad. It
I've
was-
seen
it was-
worse movies, man.
Okay.
Come on, don't be that crazy.
Up until okay. Can you-
Jesus,
don't
guys,
there's not
harm on
that. It's
anybody.
not.
It is
Let's
that
wish
sad.
he
I've
becomes a
seen
better
worse
director.
movies, dude.
Okay,
Come on.
out of the up until this movie, which one is your least favorite?
The
Out of-
Dark World. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Like,
Oh.
but there's worse movies than the Dark World. Justice
No,
League
no.
is worse than Dark World.
Justice League is not an MCU.
That's a whole different universe.
Sir,
That doesn't matter.
Sir.
Oh, yeah.
Sir.
If you want to say that this only compares to the Marvel Universe, then yeah, I'll gladly say that Thor: Dark World is my least favorite. Who cares?
Yes.
Okay. That's what I was saying earlier.
I
It's
am
like,
saying that too.
Dark World is the bottom end of the spectrum. This is the highest end of the spectrum. Like there's like one end of the
I
rainbow,
completely agree
and then
with
the
you.
other end of the
I
rainbow. Like one end of the
wholeheartedly,
rainbow is
completely
like
agree
where you
with you.
start and it's like dark and rainy, and the other end of the rainbow it's like all sunny, and you get the pot of the gold. And oh my god!
Okay, you leprechaun.
No, I'm saying like that's
JVR,
that's how
JVR.
rainbows work, right? Am I crazy?
JVR, if you were to compare movies on a spectrum, I assume you're agreeing with us that
Go-
Dark World is on the bottom
On the
end
rainbow
and
spectrum, how would you
Well,
compare these
on
two
Rainbow
movies?
Road in Mario Kart. How would you compare it?
Well, aspects here, because choreography-wise, it was awful. compared to the Winter Soldier, especially. But a lot of the story and aspects and mythology elements of the Marvel universe they set
We're
up.
coherent, yeah.
And it like kind of leads into. They come back to some of this stuff later on, without getting too spoiler, in the next couple of Avengers movies. So
It's not worthless.
yeah, it sets up a lot of things.
It has meaning.
It's not worthless.
It
No,
has
you're
im-
right. It's not worthless,
it
but
has
it's
importance
of
in the-
less worth when it comes to the MCU.
In terms of movie watching enjoyment, yes. But in
just
terms
saying-
of like storyline investments, it has its place.
Yeah. I'm just saying it's just kind of hampered by like the Dark World was hampered by bad choreography and maybe poor costume designs. I don't know.
I think you hit the nail on the head right there. I mean, it's a combination of both. Which, to be honest with you, most of the Marvel movies, I mean, they're pretty much prized on those two key aspects: choreography and fighting scenes.
I think that set the bar for that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's
It's
like a free-for-all,
when you
right?
look at the list of movies like later on after this. It's like Guardians, Civil War.
Right.
What else is after this?
Hold on, I got
We
a
had the list
basic
here.
timeline here. Hold on, give me
yeah.
2 seconds, guys. I got a basic timeline. Okay, so we got
You're
Guardians,
Ultron. Even that I didn't really like.
Ant-Man comes
is
after
like
that.
I like kind of whatever, and then
Well,
Civil
let's-
War picks it back up again, and it's a Captain America movie, and then I think that's
Captain
why.
America: Civil War,
Yeah, and I
and then
think
Doctor
that's-
Strange.
And I think that's
Right.
why it's good again, is because Captain America
And
is
then Guardians Part 2,
Has
and then
a
Spider-Man.
strong-
Right, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2,
Yeah.
Spider-Man Homecoming, then Thor Ragnarok, then Black Panther, then Avengers Infinity War.
All right. And I say, like, I think Phase 2 is kind of like it's got some of the darkest like movies in the MCU, like thematically, between Iron Man 3, The Dark World, and Winter Soldier.
Dude, Iron Man 3, you know why that was so cool? I really appreciated Guy Pearce's role. It was definitely
Yeah.
different, definitely kind of like a side ass backwards story. But yeah, very cool.
It's
Ve-
kinda thrown
very
in there.
Cool. Yeah, very cool.
It's like, oh, you didn't see this coming. Like, this could have been set up a movie or
Yeah.
2 movies ago. But
Right.
yeah, that was all cool. The Extremist or whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying that, like, put it in perspective. Iron Man 3 is PTSD. Thor: The Dark World is your family getting killed, and Winter Soldier is why am I fighting? Then they starting to lighten things up with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Wait, and Guardians of the Galaxy
I think
is
this
Star
movie's-
Fox.
this
Is
movie's-
it Star Fox or whatever? What was that Super Nintendo game?
Yeah, Star Fox.
Star Fox, right?
Yeah. It's all. I think this movie is more like dealing with your past, is because he's
Right. Why are you fighting?
readjusting
Wait,
to being awake in the new world.
Civil War, so,
Yeah, yeah.
or no, Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier.
Where do I
Yeah.
belong?
Well, yeah, it is dealing with the because look, he's got to fight his friend, right?
His therapy is work.
Bucky's got to fight his friend. He also has flashbacks of himself of
Yeah.
being a nobody, of being a little
Which,
scrawny piece of shit.
brings
okay,
me to a good
and then
point.
he goes to his old grandma, his gilf. He's like, "Oh yeah, girl,
His gilf.
yeah."
That was actually her in old CGI or something like that.
Oh, dude, I don't want to vomit.
Yeah.
That's her acting.
Again, I don't want to vomit.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, then yeah, a little side bit if you didn't notice it, but apparently Emily Van Camp's character, Agent 13, is her niece or something. Or
Really, they're
Yeah.
related.
yeah,
I'm sure our friend Misto, who was on previous shows with us, would
Shout
have
out to
something to say
Misto.
about that. Yeah, Misto would have something to say about, I believe, I don't know if it's nepotism or cronyism, or what the fuck he says. I don't know what.
Yeah.
He always has some issue with success and being intertwined with family ties.
Okay, so another part of this movie that the directors wanted to put out is his reaction to the world being like awoken 50 years later or whatever, like unfrozen 50 years later.
70
Is 70 is not the technological differences that we see, like with the internet and phones and like a TV or whatever and all other stuff, but the thing that impacts him the most is the societal ways that it affects the way everybody reacts around him. So he's like, everybody's way more or less friendly. There's not like everybody say hi in the street and like all that other crap, and like the old 50s style, like hey neighbor, and like or whatever, hey milkman, and blah blah blah. Everybody's your friend, and then that they were trying to put that point across, which I think they kind of succeeded on, in this movie.
for the most part.
Which I feel like it is more, and then he says it when the whole conversation with him and the helicarrier with Nick Fury,
Yeah.
Where he's like, your old ideals. He's like, welcome to the new world and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no. And he's like, I'm not going to give in to that, your new way. And I think that's like the big like shift that he's dealing with.
Right.
Morally and emotionally and physically and being wise.
And again, loops all the way back around to Endgame.
No spoilers,
cool.
JVR.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. That's what I think I like about the MCU. Is like a lot of things are tied together, even though they don't look like they will initially. Eventually, stuff like kind of comes together or makes some sense. Now we're just all sitting here watching.
Dude,
Captain
I'm
America
waiting
fight
for
George St. Pierre.
I know. We're watching this clip with
We get
GSP
starting
against
to watch
Captain
it again.
America. I know. We got to talk more, guys. Come on.
Get sucked into things here.
Okay,
We're 25 minutes, 26 minutes in, guys.
When
Come
they were
on.
interviewing or interrogating the guy on the roof, the bald-haired guy that they rescued in the carrier
Right.
part in the beginning, he mentions Doctor Strange.
Right.
He also mentions somebody that worked onto the Wolverine project or something like that had to do with
Right.
with Wolverine and or I think Nastasha mentions that or something like that.
Yeah.
And then and somebody else who
You mean Black Widow?
I think somebody that ties to the Fantastic Four, one of their like something like one of their science offices or something like that. I forget.
Right.
And guys, I have
But a bunch of references that the dude mentions
Right.
as they're interrogating him that he just
Guys.
like slyly like throws out. Like he just like nonchalantly just throws out, and you're like, holy crap! And this like that has huge implications like in the universe within itself that they just say like it's just there like.
Right. Well, it's a comic book. You can tease like that. All right. What
Yeah.
are you gonna say?
And
John Daniels here from Cali, Columbia. Okay.
Financials.
No financials because there's so much financials in this universe. I'm not going to get into it
Oh my
now,
God.
but I did want to reference that in the fighting scene with George St. Pierre, GSP, and one of the first fighting scenes, I had mistakenly thought that was Scott Adkins, who is a British actor and a serious martial artist. He's been in a few films with Jean-Claude Van Damme. He was in he played opposite Jean-Claude Van Damme in
Are you talking about a guy that's not in the movie?
Yeah. Now you're talking about someone's not in the movie. Get to the point.
I'm getting to the point. I made a mistake. I referenced him incorrectly.
Right.
In my initial thought, I thought he was in this movie, but again, I just credits to him because he's been in some really cool flicks. Jean-Claude Van Damme, Universal Soldier, Day of Reckoning, among some other films. But yeah, just wanted to point that out. So my fault.
Yeah. Oh,
Right
and
on.
also apparently going back to fighting Jean-Claude Van Damme, someone made the point that apparently Bucky is just Universal Soldier somehow.
No,
It is, yeah,
maybe
yeah.
maybe Universal Soldier meets RoboCop, or
It's like RoboCop. It's like Universal Soldier,
maybe.
and I think that's a
Freeze
big
back,
part
come
in the
back to life.
Russo. If you like watch the Community episodes that the Russo brothers did, it's not that far from the like beyond like belief that they
Yeah.
take influence from those type of movies,
yeah.
like
Right.
directly into this movie. So it's like, and that's why it's fun and awesome at the same time. Like, yeah, love
Okay.
it. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. What? Whoa. Johnny Skywalker.
My favorite. I
Whoa.
think this is my favorite one. Out of
Whoa,
the,
Johnny. We are approaching the 30-minute mark here. If you want to get into the ratings, we can certainly do so. It looks like you want to get into ratings.
No. I mean, no. Keep going.
I don't have anything else to say. JVR. Anything else to say?
Well, it was awesome. It was thematic. It was dark, but not being gritty. It avoided the pitfalls of the DC universe, having a serious subject matter and tone without necessarily being like a edgelord wankfest. Which we call it. Dealt with some serious themes. Had some tremendous action. Robert Redford in there playing the bad guy.
I love the fact that Robert Redford is in there. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, just like carries on the phase 2 of the Marvel Universe before things go. Yeah, I think by phase 3 and later, it starts getting a little bit lighter in tone and more colorful. But yeah, this one I really enjoyed.
Yeah, this is like a good.
J-
this is the middle point for me. This is like the Empire Strikes Back. If this whole thing was
Star Wars
if you
references.
split this whole 20 movies into 3 parts, this would be the middle part. Empire Strikes Back for me.
No. JVR.
I love Captain America: Civil War though too. Also,
JVR. Okay, so you gave us a bit of your final thought. If you had to rate this movie on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate it?
Good
And
question.
furthermore, what would you rank it against the 3 Captain America movies?
Ooh, tough questions both. I have to give us a pretty high rating. It's like a good solid 8.5
Mm-hmm.
or even a 9. I
Yeah.
mean, just for what it is, acknowledging the fact that it's a comic book movie.
Yeah.
It does a lot of things amazingly well, which is I think in some ways haven't been equaled in comic book movies or won't be for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen comic book movies done well. I've seen them done extremely badly. I've seen them been like edited to hell and back.
Mhm.
This is just so. Pardon. So we'll have to get a solid 8.5 out of 9. And among the trilogy, I mean, I do have a soft spot in my heart for the first one of the series because I really enjoyed just the throwback aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
But this is such a strong follow up that it's hard to rank them. You know,
It's hard to find why the other one will be better.
It's tough. I mean, we got Tommy Lee Jones versus Robert Redford.
First
I mean,
one. First one. The second one.
Dude, I know. Yeah,
You got
Oh my God.
you got Scarlett Johansson and
it's like, ooh.
Yeah.
and Emily Van Camp versus Haley
Yeah.
Atwell. I mean, you got Hugo Weaving versus whatever.
Dude, don't forget George St. Pierre.
Robert,
God damn it.
what's his
Yeah.
name? Redford?
GSP. GSP.
Yeah, so it's a lot of interesting things in both. I mean, it's a tough call. I might have to flip a coin on that one.
Mm.
They're
Are
both
you-
very good for
Are you
very
rating
different
it?
reasons.
Did you rate it?
Yeah.
He did give
Oh,
it
okay.
an 8.5 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
okay.
But he will be pulling the Two-Face card on actually comparing it among the others.
Oh, for the 3.
Right.
Yeah, of the franchise. Yeah.
Johnny
No,
Walker.
keep going. I want to hear it. Keep going.
Well, I said it was tough to control.
I don't think he's going to say.
I said it was really tough to compare the two. I had to almost flip a coin on them because
I don't think he's going to say Johnny Walker.
they're
Oh, you
both-
can't say it because he hasn't seen the 3rd.
No. Dude, if you wanted to rate them, what would you do? 1, 2, or 3? I mean, how would you?
I don't know. I kind of have to put the third one as like it's definitely been not up to the caliber of the first two. To be honest, the third Civil War is really more like Avengers, like 2.5 or something.
Yeah, it is.
Without getting too spoilery, but if you've seen any of the previews or trailers, you've seen that
It's
like,
a
everyone's in there.
it's a plus and a minus to Captain America.
Yeah,
How good and
'Cause-
how bad. Like it was so good that it could have been Avengers whatever. But
Right.
it like
2.7.
it was like you should have just made it be its own movie like this one at the same time.
right. Because you show with this, with the Winter Soldier, clearly his character and can carry in a movie very well.
Yeah. It was 1, 2, and then yeah, like how it feels like Avengers 2.5 or something.
Yeah. I don't know. I actually may have to give it just slightly the edge over the original. Just the narrowest of edges. If only because this takes the time to also acknowledge the original.
Okay, perfect time. This Steve Rogers legacy scene with where he goes and he remembers his old teammates, I think was cut from the original Avengers movie or something like that. And it was from originally concept or deleted scenes from the original Avengers, but made it into this one. So they took that old concept and then threw it into this movie where it completely makes sense
Right.
and completely adds
It
to the
fits in
character.
so well. That,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfectly.
Yeah.
Like where you wouldn't even think that was
Right.
part of something else or whatever that they would have
Yeah.
scrapped or something like that. So that's really cool.
Johnny Walker. Okay, so we have JVR's 8.5 out of 10, and
Also-
he probably prefers this one over the other two. Maybe, I don't know. He hasn't given the official shout out on that, but what would you rate this?
Also the Peggy scene where he's talking to Peggy when she's on a bed. I think that was cut also from
The
here.
old hag?
Yeah. I think that was from the original Avengers movie too, and then that was
Vomit!
added into this movie. Which adds so much more to his character and why it should be his.
Yes, he has a fetish for old hags.
and his old teammates.
And his old fetishes die hard.
His old war buddies and his old war
fetishes
stories.
die hard.
The opposite
So
of Iron
death
Man
hard.
3. Yeah, okay.
Yes, they die hard. Johnny Walker, if you had to rate this on a scale of 1 to 10 and compare it
Okay,
among the
now
three,
that I think about it more, I'll give it more a 9 point.
God damn, you're going
Oh.
above. Oh, okay, 9, a solid 9. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
solid
Yeah,
9.
Yeah, okay.
It's kind of cheesy. I would give it a 9.5. I think I could.
Jeez, pull your pants down, why don't you?
I probably could. But no, a solid 9 is good. Like, again, it's the middle point of the franchise as a whole without them even I think, knowing it. And they didn't even, like, and yeah, they did it without even realizing it. They're like, oh, we can do this. And then they did. And then everything after that is kind of a result and a reaction, not a reaction to, but influenced by
grows out of this.
comes out of this, and especially Thor: The Dark World, like that took a huge turn.
Vomit.
Exactly. I mean, Thor: The Dark World was like number 8, and then like 9, 10, 11, and Thor 3 doesn't come till like 10 movies later or something like that. So they took a while to like reestablish what was going on, because you could see the obvious Thor to Captain America and what is working and what isn't.
I think
the directions you can take. And,
Dark World was the 8th film in the MCU. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think this movie set up the core tone of the future Endgame and Avengers movies.
More Ultron than Endgame, but yeah.
Ultron, Avengers movies in a whole. That's what I mean. Captain America, Winter Soldier, how you feel like it is Avengers like 1.5, and then it leads to Avengers, Ultron, and then Civil War, and yeah. So it really did. I love it. Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Okay, so 9.0. And if you had to compare the three, what would you pick out of 1, 2, or 3?
This one's my favorite.
This was your favorite. Okay, so
then I like
Winter Soldier's number 1 out of
it's a hard toss between the first one, just because what Javier was saying earlier is because it's so cool. I love that I love the spin on it. I love the character, and like, I don't know. It's a hard toss up between Captain Civil War. The main takeaway is it does feel like an Avengers like half point. If there's other characters and so many other things going on that's not has to do with Captain America himself, even though he's directly involved, it's just like overarching things that they do with the whole like Marvel Cinematic Universe that are tied into it. So I think that takes away a little bit from it, but so this one's my favorite. Yeah.
Okay, cool guys.
2, 1, 3. 2, 3, 1.
Wait, 2, 1, 3 or 2, 3, 1 or
both of them.
It's a coin toss. Okay. All right, guys.
Either or, depending on how I feel at the end of the day.
John Daniels here from Cali, Colombia, everyone. And we did have cable reception at the time that this was being replayed over HBO. So I was able to catch it, and it was great, and it was amazing. And if I had to rank it, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Solid 8 out of 10, because action scenes nonstop, just gets right into the meat of the movie, right? I mean, it's just it's a cool flick. Again, I think we mentioned this earlier in the podcast here, where even if you hadn't seen the prior movies, this is still a cool flick in and of itself on its own. If you have seen the previous movies, it's still a cool flick, and it falls into the timeline beautifully, right? So it's a cool thing. 8 out of 10. Love the fact that GSP's in there. Love the fact that Robert Redford is in there. Samuel L. Jackson is doing his thing. He's kicking ass now. He's way more heavily involved in kind of the action when previously compared to the other films. He's like in the dirt here, right? So that was awesome. Yeah, exactly. Scarlett Johansson, of course.
See what he can do.
I mean, if looks to kill, Scarlett Johansson is just amazing in this flick. So yeah. That's just me, guys. And if I had to compare it, I'm only going to compare the first two, First Avenger and Winter Soldier, and I would definitely pick Winter Soldier above and beyond First Avenger. And I would send Thor: The Dark World and Alan Taylor straight to hell in a handbasket.
Into the abyss.
Yes, into the black abyss, into the blackest
wherever that
pits
red
of hell.
Stuff takes you.
Wherever that red matter from Star Trek takes you into the shitter, I would send Alan Taylor and his whole team and that movie, Thor: The Dark World, right there. And that is my take, guys. John Daniels.
Love it.
All right. Any final thoughts before we close this segment out, guys?
I can do this all day.
And keep drinking.
Yeah, I can do this all day.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. And we'll catch you next week when we think of something to watch right before we do the review. And when we think of something to drink right before we do the review. Thanks so much for tuning in. See you all next week.